Berg Mountain Optional University welcomes you back. Hi. Good morning. We're glad to see you here with us again today. In this session of Hashtag How to Run for President 2, U.S. Political Structure, the 25th Amendment will be analyzed and interpreted, where the Vice President assumes the position of the President, how, why, and in what capacity, and under whose authority. Won't you come along with us?
Chapter XXV, Week 11. Vice in lieu of the President. Once upon a time, long ago, lived a king in a land far away who was loved so much so that even his adversaries who had biological differences with him admired him as a just and virtuous ruler. He was morally right and ethically good, with his subjects living in peace and harmony. This was so for a very long time, until his subjects began to see a difference in his facial expressions and demeanor, and no one knew why his answer to ordinary problems was to go to war. The king that everyone loved no longer presented the inviting smile that once brightened his face, and now conveyed a perpetual frown that no one knew its purpose. If it hadn't been for his closest advisors, the kingdom would have rushed to war on countless occasions, because of the emotion delivered in his speech. Everyone wondered what the matter was with the king and why the whole kingdom was in a state of alert. So, one such day the king had a disagreement with his mother while eating an apple, and instead of listening he chose to speak, getting the better of her. After she let him finish, he bit into his apple, and his mother noticed when his biting the apple struck a nerve in his teeth. She asked what no other had since he began his infamous frown, as she wanted to know when was the last time he visited the dentist. Well, the kingdom went back to normal after he went to the appointment she scheduled him, but in this republic we would use our vice in lieu of our chief. We can't afford the mistakes of irrational judgment. Whereas a king may be able to lose subjects, a president must account for all citizens. So, if the president is unresponsive or incapable, the vice must stand in the president's stead, but if subordinate, incumbent.
There must be some sort of plan in place in the event that the president can't perform his duties, such as if he was unresponsive, and the vice president must step in as president. There are many ways one can tell when the president is unresponsive, of which his/her facial expression is one. Not that the president has to have a certain facial expression, but it would help things a lot if the person in office were sympathetic to the situations of the people, and it showed on their face. Another way one may tell when the president is unresponsive is when controversial issues are brought up, and the president has no verbal response. As any information distributed in the president's presence is a hearing, allowing any disturbing position to remain unaddressed would confirm their validity. The vice president can't be expected to hold his/her peace forever, and even though then he may, the president has scared the vice with his/her silence. Another way the president can prove unresponsive is through his/her body language, as the people depend on the president's consistency in office and while away. The presidency is the office that all who pay taxes should look up to as a role model to be more like, and even if they dislike the person, they should respect the office. The president has all eyes on him/her, and if he stumbles someone will be there to help, but if such behavior becomes the norm, the vice is left with no other option.
The president doesn't have to be unresponsive to be removed from office by the vice, as being incapable may as well be grounds for substitution. One way he can prove incapable is by being indecisive. No one wants to be governed by one who doesn't know which path to take, as a leader should always know where he/she is directing their body. The position is not set up to have citizens wandering in the wilderness of North America or not being fed when it is time to eat. The presidency demands decisiveness, because that is basically the only thing that elected officers are required to do as representatives. The president can prove to be incapable by being contradictory as well. Saying one thing and doing another, or vice versa, is not a quality of the president. He/she can't sign a bill and not fund it, nor may he/she schedule a meeting for 9 in the morning and instead of attending he/she goes golfing. The president can also prove to be incapable if he/she has, through the course of time while in office, somehow left in a vegetative state. He/she could be in a car wreck, develop Alzheimer's, or have some type of brain tumor where the vice must act.
The vice has to step in, if unresponsive or incapable, but if he/she proves to be subordinate, the vice must step in and become president. Although we hope this is never the case, but if the president is not commanding, someone must, and the next in line is the vice. The vice president stands behind the president, and in mirroring the president, the vice has a good idea what the president and his party would do in most every situation. The vice president is not in the second highest position just as a placeholder, and is ready to command if the president is not. The president has a lot on his plate with his advisors, staff, and party, but if he asks the vice for answers, the president is no longer in control. The vice has but one role, to act in lieu of the president, so that is what the vice consumes his days with, though it may never come. Lastly, if the president has enough time on his/her schedule to observe the vice right, he/she would write stand down, and upon comprehension the president must oblige, because most certainly there will be witnesses.
The main issue is that we can't have a sovereign whose behavior becomes inconsistent with the promises and assurances he/she campaigned on to become president. At that point where he/she becomes so, the vice has a responsibility to remove the president for his conscience and the conscience of those who elected him/her to office. If the president proves to be unresponsive or incapable, the vice has to step in, but if he/she proves to be subordinate to the vice must remove him/her for his/her own good. No, the vice is not there to want to replace the president when he/she can, but as a fail-safe so that the integrity and dignity of the American people will not be damaged, and if so as least as possible. We never know what these next 4 years have in store for us, but if there is anything we can do to make sure it is better, we can uphold our word.
That's all the information we have for you this time. Feel free to reread this section for better understanding so you'll understand. We are coming to a close of this course, and we hope you've not only learned more and captured a better understanding of the Constitution of the United States, our rights as men, and why the American culture is as it is. Next session we discuss the 26th Amendment identifying the age of adult competency. We hope to see you there. Thank you for your time, understanding, and consideration.